Hi, welcome to another edition of the Millslagle Group podcast. Today we bring a special guest from Jesse's Garage, Luke, and of course Christian from our team.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about some cars and how it might tie into luxury real estate. Let's start off with Luke. Introduce yourself a little bit to our viewers out there, and what brought you into the car world?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Luke Kanaka. I own Jesse's Garage and Jim Taylor Automotive here in Sarasota, Florida. My journey with cars started really young, much like probably a lot of us, although it didn't start with family. It started with friends. Just had a lifelong obsession with cars from a really young age, and kind of went down the slippery slope of modifying my very first car, and then the second car.
What was the first
and
one?
The third car.
Yeah,
The first car
we got to know what was the first car.
It was an 09 Toyota Corolla that met its untimely death.
That's hard to do.
Yep. 16 years old in California, at midnight on my 17th birthday. As the clock struck midnight, I was watching my beloved first car being dragged off the side of a cliff. Had gone a little bit too fast around a neighborhood with friends. So that one met its kind of untimely demise, but after that went
front wheel drive drifting, or what were you trying to do?
Front wheel
What
drive,
were you trying to do? Like, how'd you go off a cliff? What do you mean? There's more to this.
Yeah, I had the sticky tires on it, and overshot this corner. It was actually in my best friend's neighborhood, but the car immediately after that was a 6-speed manual Infiniti G35, and I thought I was just the coolest thing ever.
Yep. See, that's how you tie into luxury real estate. Nissan, Infiniti.
Exactly.
We're going to work our way up.
So Nissan, but then I got it. I like
that's
it.
Right. Yeah. So so it started with modifying, all of the cars until then. Went into mechanical engineering. I always knew that I wanted to do something with cars, and I was always a little bit more hands-on, a little bit more mechanically inclined. So I was always drawn to the shop in that way. So got my degree in mechanical engineering and a minor in entrepreneurship. And off to the races we went. I got a job with an aftermarket high-performance Mercedes, aftermarket tuning company. Mm-hmm. I was a product design engineer with them for a while, parted ways with them, and then I always had that itch to own my own business, was kind of implanted in me from a young age, and it was always going to be cars. So I consider myself really lucky in that way. And then I saw Jesse's Garage for sale, actually on a online business marketplace. And then worked it out with them to kind of make the transition, and then moved to Sarasota for that.
So you did all of that in California? So
this was I moved to Florida for the job as a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
So that was in Florida, and then I moved to that was over on the West Coast, over near West Palm Beach, and then moved over here for the business.
Yeah, so there's quite the car market over there.
West Palm
boy,
Beach.
Where my build came from.
Yeah, I was just there for a wedding, and I gotta say, that side of the state, there is some money. I mean, they
drive Lamborghinis like they're Honda Civics around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At one point, I felt like I was at a car show. Yeah. Like I actually just sat. I was at like a little breakfast place, waiting for I had some time to kill, and I'm sitting there, and it was just like there was 2 GT3s, which is just a really rare car. Yeah. Anyways.
So it makes you think like this. Something going on over here, but nope, it's just Palm Beach. Yeah. The norm at my desk had a beautiful view from my desk at that at the Mercedes shop that I was at. The desk was glass in front, and then it looked out into the front showroom where there sat a CLK GTR most of the time. So that was homologated car. So that was the view most of the day. So it wasn't so bad.
Right.
Yeah. So timeline wise, how long ago was that? When did you purchase, and how long have you been here?
Yep. So purchased Jesse's Garage. It's coming up on 4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And then that's when I moved to Sarasota. So we've been growing ever since then, and haven't looked back. It's been a phenomenal journey so far.
That was a good time to get into the Sarasota car market, because as we realized during the pandemic, everybody was selling their houses around here and buying Lamborghinis. Well, that's what it seemed like, at least. Well, I mean, like, they were taking the equity from these houses that were getting $100,000, $200,000 more for.
Yep.
How did that go for you guys in the Europe? You're doing obviously service and stuff. There was a gigantic inflation in prices. Did that were the parts and repairs and stuff?
We're seeing the other end of that now.
Yeah.
So exactly.
Well, same with us though, in the housing market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's actually a really fantastic question, because the kind of unexpected consequence of the used car and new car markets going wild. We had that time where used cars were, for a $50,000 car, where used prices were maybe $5,000-$6,000 off the price of a brand new car. Yep. For us, in the repair space, when a lot of people's decisions come down to, does it make sense financially to repair the car versus replace it, as the used car values are so high, there's a really high cost of replacement to replace the car. Right. So there was a lot of decisions to repair the vehicle. So as a kind of an unintended consequence,
good for you.
I think our industry did, fared pretty well through that, through all of that. Of course, there was parts shortages. We get a lot of factory parts. Of course, there was a time when, BMW parts in Jacksonville, we had to wait about 2 to 3 weeks to get them from Jacksonville, which, ultimately is that.
Do I remember during that time period, some ship sank with car parts?
Yep. So
and cars.
The
whole thing.
Like a lot.
Exactly.
Like the whole thing.
So we ran into a lot of these parts shortages.
Right.
And ultimately all of that inconvenience is borne by the customer. So of course it's not news that we, enjoy giving, but between the used car values and kind of the availability of parts, it was kind of balancing all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got to ask. So I always see this all the time. Well, not all the time, but you see it. It catches my eye. Whenever you service, whenever there's a company or somebody like yourself who services European cars, you always make it well known that it is a European service center. Can you run me through what's the marketing on that? Is it just because of all the specialty tool? Run me through that.
That's funny.
I see it all the time. I'm like,
absolutely. I think that there's a few groups of car owners, not even enthusiasts, but car owners who are particularly passionate about their cars or want that specialized service or that knowledgeable service. I guess just to start to lay a framework for all of this, a lot of general repair shops in the city who work on all makes and models, a lot of them will turn away a Land Rover or turn away a Porsche to do kind of these larger jobs on. If there's a Land Rover coolant leak or something of the sort, a lot of the times they'll just be turned away right at the door. So there's no choice but to come to a European specialist. But we notice as well a lot of people who take this pride in their car. I know that for example,
Germans.
Yep. Yeah. Right.
Germans.
Exactly. That's right. Porsche owners, Mini owners.
The whole German
Land Rover owners. Yeah, they love their Minis. They love their Land Rovers. They love their Porsches.
Right.
They kind of want that really specialized care. They want to know that
OCD owner. Likely an OCD owner.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
They want it done. They know that it takes specialized care, even if it's at a slightly premium price. It's better than having to, having that peace of mind that it's being done right by someone who's seen this before 1,000 times.
And then, so I had a B8.5 S4 for a little while, and I just had to do some maintenance on it, and I'm pretty sure I went to the parts store, I got what I thought I needed, but then I realized that I didn't have. There's a special socket type that I didn't have, and then I got past that, and then there was another layer and another, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I got it. I get it now.
Sure.
This is why there's European auto centers and service centers, because you need a tool set for American problems, and then you have. I know that there's metric but there's also for the cars there's certain tools that you have that a normal mechanic's just not going to. Am I off base there?
No, it's entirely accurate. Yeah. So we've got the 2 locations at Jesse's Garage for the European specialty side of things. We've also got Jim Taylor Automotive, which services all makes and models. Okay. And absolutely there is a difference in tooling. It's even in the technicians that we hire as the team grows. A technician who has worked on primarily Asian and domestic cars, working at the European specialty store, just will be required to purchase more and more tools, as well as get to grips with, the way to communicate with these diagnostic equipment and all of that. But yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of specialized tooling involved there.
Is there a premium? Like, would you say, okay, so you have two shops, one is domestic or one can handle, like I can pull up in a Chevy Impala, you got me covered.
Sure.
But if I pull up in a Mercedes, is there a pretty big price delta between those two services, or because there's special training? Like, how does that work in your guys' industry? I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a bit of a price delta. So the European side of things certainly comes at a slightly higher premium, as well as the jobs themselves. So maybe even not so big a price difference, maybe just less than 10% actually a price difference between our European store and
when you factor in the time.
Well, straight, I think the industry as a whole is moving away from, flat labor rates. Okay. That's a whole nother thing. But, I think in the same job at one store versus the other, I think the price in labor for us is actually not so different. We don't charge a huge premium in the rate, but just the jobs are so much more intensive.
Well, because the car is made in Germany, so it's going to have a 3-step process turns into a 7-step process,
right?
Because they have to that's just how it works.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer to do a similar component on a European car may take a lot longer time than on.
Well, because everybody that's in the luxury car market or luxury real estate, like, okay, so is it actually that much worse to maintain a German car, in your opinion, versus if I have a Chevy Impala or a BMW 540, maybe not a Chevy Impala, maybe a Chevy Cruze. Like,
sure.
Are we talking about crazy difference in maintenance there?
So every car's got its quirk. I'm sure we've all owned various cars, and even Toyotas and Hondas have their quirks, where things go wrong with them. The BMWs, Maseratis, Land Rovers, Porsches, they've got their quirks as well. Oh, yeah. Typically, if it breaks, it's a little bit more expensive. The parts are more expensive. The jobs are a little bit more complex. I wouldn't say that the German cars are any worse to own, or that they have a particularly higher frequency of repairs. I mean, the newer 911s, say, for example, are really fairly reliable. All things considered, really reliable cars. And, but, it just kind of depends on luck of the draw sometimes.
Well, the engine, too. Like, you really love that BMW engine, the V8 twin turbo that they have.
Yeah. It's pretty... the S58. It's a good...
But, I mean, it carries over... from that into the Audi, into the Urus. Like, it's the same thing across multiple platforms.
Yep.
The engine doesn't break often. So, I mean, that's why they're using it, and it can deliver the power. Yep. So, I mean, some of these cars, you pay a high ticket price, but, like, I know plenty of people Lamborghinis, they're like, I go once a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
You go in, you pay your couple $1,000s once a year, and...
Yeah. And then you buy a McLaren and it just turns off when there's water on the road. So.
They're really cool looking.
They look great, but not on the side of the road.
Have you ever seen like one of their warranties?
Oh gosh, I haven't.
So the one guy I know, Joel,
sure,
he had one, and the warranty was like on the parts. It doesn't have to be new parts.
Oh,
according to the warranty, so it can be like from a junkyard.
Oh, so they can just...
So, like, if you pay for the warranty, it's like fine print. Like, it doesn't have to be, like, fresh from McLaren.
That's crazy.
It can be fresh from somebody else's car.
Yeah.
That they wrecked.
And to be fair, the McLaren owner, this is maybe something we should definitely talk about. The McLaren owner is very different from the 911 owner, which is very different from... Well, maybe not very different, but likely different than the Ferrari owner. Which is the most different of all of them.
Yeah, sure.
Yep, I agree.
Like, I think
I would agree.
So I go to a lot of car shows, and like the stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. Like, I've just never seen anything. And then the Corvette guys, I'm a Corvette guy, but I'm like the annoying Corvette guy, like exhaust dumping into the ground, and they all just kind of like scoff at me, and they, But I do have New Balances, so I'm just going to say that. I have a little bit of fun, but the owners are just very different. So, like, I don't know how much you see that, but I'd imagine. So, what are the primary European? Can you run me through like your primary brands or your most frequent?
Yeah. So we see a lot of Porsche, a lot of BMW, Mercedes, Audi VW, Land Rover, Range Rover, and then we've been seeing an increased amount of Alfa Romeo, Maserati. We worked on a couple McLarens last week. The Lamborghini, the Audi R8, Huracan V10 era of engine has been pretty reliable. We love those. But yeah, that's the vast majority. And then the occasional Volvo Saab. That sort of thing.
So
wow,
yeah,
it takes me back.
Those are
So
my mom had one when I was in high school.
The people that you like, okay, so in real estate, we kind of talk about this. It's joking and lighthearted, but like the hardest transactions are not the big dogs. Like that's not the case. Like $3 to $10 million, the transaction
literally just had this conversation with somebody else.
Like
it's funny.
10 minutes ago.
Here's where we run into. I will spend more time on a $150,000 transaction, $150,000 sale or home than I will on a $700,000 or $2 million property. Do you see are there certain cars or customers that pull up and you're like, frick? Maybe not customers. I'm not saying customer, but you just know the car pulling up. You're like, oh boy.
No, so there are a couple ways to approach this conversation, but I know
candid.
I know exactly what you mean, right?
Yeah.
The higher tickets for us, anything pretty much above 5,000 to 25,000 for us is going to be on the higher end of things. We typically always have a few jobs that are 5,000 to 10,000, in our kind of typical flow of the week and all of that. Those typically, I would say, as a generalized statement, we have our customers who have come to know us and love us, and they're known in our industry as key tossers. Toss us the keys, say, hey, you know what? I'll be back
I like
this
that
evening.
term. I've never heard that. I get that. That makes sense.
And it's just built on like that high level of trust, right? They trust anything we recommend. We send them pictures, videos. If we're going to recommend brakes, you're going to get a picture of that brake with our measurement in the red zone, all of that sort of thing. So there are customers that are much easier. They take up actually a very small percentage of our time that make up for a fairly decent, a substantial amount of the revenue.
Isn't that funny?
But yes, there's a lot that we have to fight tooth and nail, send them breakdowns of everything, send them additional documentation, schedule, have them talk with our technicians. And if that's to build trust, if that's their first time with us, then, it's no problem at all. But I do see, there's a large investment of time.
Yeah, it's like it's the same thing like the luxury real estate.
Yep.
You get a $2 million house, they'll buy sight unseen. They're like, oh, that sounds good. Wire's on the way. Thanks for doing everything. And we're like kind of like trying to go way over the top, like panicking. Yeah, we should, but we're panicking, making sure everything's perfect. And like, oh man, I hope that he's okay with this. And he's like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Wire's on the way. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we'll have on some of the, not all low transactions.
I give you a perfect example. So you walk in these $2 million buyers, they're usually cash. They're not financing anything. So they have $2 million cash at least to buy this house. If you walk into this house and the AC's broken, it's $5,000 to fix the AC, they're like, whatever. If you go into a $300,000 house with a $300,000 buyer that's financing it and probably isn't even putting $5,000 down on that loan, if you walk in and there's a $5,000 problem with the AC, if the seller's not covering it, the deal is dead.
Sure.
Yeah. It's done. Like there is no, that's the big in between. So we actually learn a lot more on the smaller transactions because you have to learn how to get around these things.
Yep.
Which I'm sure some of your mechanics learn a lot more when, hey, listen, we got to cut this bill down. We got to figure out what they need, how to do this more efficiently. So, those are the learning curve for our industry. We're like, if, let's say we were born into luxury real estate and one of our parents handed us down the business, transactionally, we might not be great at real estate. We just had the right friends.
Right. Yeah. You wouldn't even understand how to solve a lot of the problems.
Sure.
Maybe any.
Right.
Yeah.
Depending on how high up there you are.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but, and then there's also the end of the, used car market where this might be a 7 Series or, a Maserati, a 10-year-old Maserati where, the MSRP was so high and now we're on the third, fourth owner. So the car was $15,000, but,
we call it clapped.
Yeah, exactly. So the repair bill very quickly
Things
touches
done.
what they paid for it. So
Oh yeah, especially you said Maserati's like. It's tough to beat a Maserati for its name brand versus how much of junk it really is. Like those Gran Turismos, you look flashy, but holy crap, like you're just immediately in the hole. And they usually don't work. I mean, I've got two friends with Maseratis, and both of them, well, they've had Maseratis. Both were absolute epic failures. Everything breaks, anything you touch. I don't know if you see that, but it's just, not good.
Yep. The quality of them suffers a bit. So those are tough conversations.
Yeah. Do you have to skate around brands here? Like where you don't want to say bad stuff about brands?
No, you know what? I think that people that own,
right.
People that own them, they you know what you sign up for, right? It's like when you buy,
sometimes,
sure,
sometimes, doctor friend of my mom's, he bought a Maserati, and she told me, he's like, oh, he's so excited, he bought a Maserati. I was like, what's he excited for? He's gonna go to the shop immediately.
Yep.
She's like, what do you mean? I was like, does the transmission still work? Like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean he bought a Maserati? Why didn't anybody call me? Like,
right.
Like, what just happened?
Been a voice
and then he bought like a 15 or 20-year-old Rolls Royce, and I was like, what? He said he was a car guy.
Yeah.
He's gonna live in the shop.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like those kind of things happen with those kind of cars. So I mean, some people, they just don't know. They assume that
they wanted a Maserati their whole life.
Right.
Well, that was because of branding, right? It's like, like Ferraris, like those SF90s. I don't know if you follow that market very much, but like everybody that bought those SF90s at $800,000, well, they just lost what, $250,000?
I saw one just yesterday. It was for $450,000.
Oh yeah, so that guy already lost $400,000 on an SF90 he bought at the wrong time, which this happens in real estate all the time. But it's an exciting brand. You have to own them all. Well, some people, if you're trying to collect if you're trying to get in on the new stuff, the high end new stuff that's exclusive, you have to own each one of them. But some of those, I guess it costs like $20 million to get the invite for the $20 million worth of Ferrari purchases and garage. I don't know if you look into that stuff, but
they just changed that bar to get in that club.
I was watching that. It's just absolutely insane. Do you guys work on a lot of Ferraris? I don't even.
Ferraris, I think, just obviously as a percentage of the cars on the road, it's obviously a very low percentage. They make up a very low percentage of our total car count. I mean, really the bulk of the business is, the person that drives the Ferrari, their BMW, the Mercedes, the daily driven cars. But
yeah, because doesn't Ferrari like really want you to come back to the dealership, right?
They do.
Like they're one of the more crazy.
They don't
like
you to do modifications or anything. Like
they'll send you paperwork.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're famous for it, right? Yeah, like
exactly. They did that to Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, Bieber too.
Is that right?
Yeah. Bieber was a famous one.
I think they were threatening to tell them they can't buy anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? That guy's like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask about Joe. I know you've got questions, but I wanted to ask: Do you guys do storage? So the reason
that was
I
one
asked,
of the questions.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
segue.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Because the Ferrari owner, and actually, I personally like having a couple GTRs in the garage. One's not mine, but I like to. It's fun to open your garage and see two. Yeah, it's fun. So anyways, the reason I ask is because these clients, these higher end, maybe not the bulk of your business because you're doing a lot of the service work on keeping Mercedes and BMWs moving. But do you have any plans, or do you currently do that, or have plans to in the future?
So it's funny you ask. We've always got something in the works. That'll be more public.
If you can't say, that's okay.
No. It's not top secret, but we've always got something in the works. So that's been an idea that one of the gentlemen that helps me run the organization and I've been throwing around. So we're actually blueprinting a couple sketches of what something might look like to have, an exotic center, classics. Right now we've got a big Defender, a customer with a big Land Rover Defender build going on.
Oh.
It's
what year Defender?
Oh, it's a 70s car.
Okay, original Defender.
It's it's a rest of world build, so it's not North American chassis. It's got
Oh, wow.
like diesel engine put into it. It's like a manual diesel. Where it's dark green. He's already put a ton of work into it. It's a beautiful car already, but he wants to go that next step with the restoration. So we're considering very much what kind of a bespoke, really, really high-end space might look like for something like that. But yeah, to segue into that, that sort of that strategy with real estate, at least for organizations like ourselves, does play a big role, especially as a lot of our strategy for growth is dependent on, that lending that high capacity to grow quickly.
Right.
And to continue to leverage.
Yep.
Real estate is a fantastic, is a core part of that strategy.
Right.
So.
Right. Do you own the ground under the shop?
So at the 3 locations, we own one of them.
Okay.
We've got right of first refusal on our store number 3, which we'll purchase at the soonest opportunity when it becomes available for sale.
I didn't know how that played into what you would buy for car storage.
Yep, right.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, it's a strong preference of ours that real estate be a part of the deal, especially since the operation will occupy the space, and it'll obviously.
What gives you, like you said, leverage? If you own the real estate, you can expand quickly because the bank's like, yeah, sure. Here's the keys. Like
they love it.
You have leverage here. You have something that we can barter with. Like we're good to go here.
And we occupy the space. We operate in it, and the business that we're acquiring as well will be considered in being able to afford the mortgage and everything moving forward as well.
Well, yeah, and actually, as you kind of walk that out, I'm just kind of going from a servicing, primarily service business. That gets you into high-end monthly contractual revenue.
Sure. Yep.
Too, which is
I was going to bring that up as well.
Which is
reoccurring
right
revenue.
because like now this isn't like hopefully he drives his car enough to come back for an oil change and we find stuff to make sure we keep the car running. It's like that thing's parked on a trickle charger. We're paying somebody to move it. We're paying insurance, but otherwise they're paying us every month on a contract, and you can leverage those in business, which is. It's something I've always wanted to do. I'm currently I'm currently doing it, and I could imagine like 500. Well, not 500 because that's a lot, but like a massive warehouse. Because here in Florida, though we're not quite the East Coast. Here in Sarasota, Florida, like it's getting there. There's a lot of exotics rolling around here, and there's not room for parking for all of them. And actually, a lot of people that aren't here, like they don't want to deal with.
Well, that last garage space on Lakewood Ranch, it sold out so fast. Like it's just there's no opportunity there.
Yep.
Yeah, and so as everything kind of expands up towards, I'm in Palmetto, so I'm right in between Tampa and here, like almost actually dead center of the exit to go to St. Pete.
Right.
So like, I'm thinking maybe we talk about that. Maybe this podcast is maybe we need if we put a gigantic warehouse right there, that makes it easy, and you deliver the cars. Because there's a lot of money in Tampa, obviously.
Yep.
Those people that have like condos there, they're like, "Hey, I'm flying in, have my car there." I was
thinking at least that side of 75 because of Lakewood Ranch. Lakewood Ranch is huge. Where
you're just interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so but currently not offering that, but definitely in the works.
In the works, yeah, in the works. It is a possibility moving forward, but maybe for us in this area makes more sense than other areas of the country. We have a lot of people who are here seasonally, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a little bit
they're
easier.
not bringing their car back.
Well, right. Like where I come from, I'm from Wisconsin. Like there's not a Ferrari within 100 miles of me.
Right.
Like it doesn't even.
But 25 inches of snow. What are they supposed to do with it?
That's what I mean. Like that's not a thing. So like it's just a unique. It's a unique business that only exists basically coastal or southern for the most part. I know there's a couple big ones out in California. That guy's got a big podcast, Matt, what's his name? Anyways, he's got a gigantic podcast, but he does like...
Matt Farah?
That's exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah, so he's got that wash bay. He like details it before he gives it back to the like...
stacked.
And it's just stacked. It's actually really sick. And it's just cool to walk into that and be like, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So interesting. What about performance? Are you guys headed down that route?
Yeah, so we touched, like I mentioned, we touched a couple McLarens last week. We've done a lot of aftermarket stuff for people.
That's what I mean. Are we doing like twins on Lambos? Like, what are we?
So,
like, are you going down that path? Because there's a market now for that too.
Yeah,
there is a huge market for that. I know Hefner is located here in town as well.
Yep.
But for us, we're more than happy. We get a large, especially as we become more and more involved in the car community around here. We sponsor the local Cars and Coffee. So we meet a lot of enthusiasts, and that's what I think is really cool about the, getting into the aftermarket, like the high performance side of things, because my heart lies with that. Sure. I have, always had modified cars, and I love it to the core. Our core business model is obviously centered around like the maintenance and repair. That's like it's an essential thing. It's rock solid. We can always depend on cars going wrong. People use them every day. But,
oil goes out. Yeah, but oil becomes less oil.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So we but kind of diving into the aftermarket performance side of things, it's exciting, and also the clientele is slightly different, right? Like they really care about their car and keeping it on the road, keeping it in great condition, but also they're excited about the work that you do, right? In what we do every day, it's we call it, it's a grudge buy. You don't wake up and hope to spend $2,000 on front and rear brakes on your Mercedes AMG, but when someone brings their car in to get tuned or for an exhaust, when they come pick it up, it's really fun to watch their smile on their face, to get to reunite them with their car, and you can watch them fall in love with their car all over again. So
what's the furthest you'll go right now? Like, what you do, like intake exhaust type stuff?
Yep. So we'll pretty much go to the ends of the earth with bolt-on. We try and stay out of fairness to a lot of the mechanics. We'll kind of stray away from the highly custom fabricating, pie cutting and welding, titanium intakes or something like that. But anything especially for the European aftermarket, pretty much everything is a really well sorted bolt-on kit, whether it's a BMW high pressure pump kit or whatever. But
you're basically kind of staying away from anything that's oiling. So like I say, like you're not taking it apart. You'll bolt stuff to it, but not going to touch cams, heads, stuff like that. Really.
Yeah, for us, because
it's a slippery slope, right? Yeah. And then you got a guy maybe potentially working a little over his head, or not that he couldn't do it, but that he doesn't do it regularly, and that might be a disservice to the client potentially. Like, we've gone way too far with this car.
Sure.
You been in a situation like that?
Our capacity, we've got a really outstanding. I mean, second to none in this town. I mean, a truly phenomenal group of technicians. Yep. One of which
Hudson. Yeah.
Hudson. He
was at Porsche for years before he went to Greenhouse and then over to you guys.
Yep. Yeah. And he's incredible. He's the one that works, on those McLarens. Yep. All of those sorts of cars get white glove service, and for example, Hudson could do that job. He
did my exhaust on my C8.
Yeah.
That's why we're here today, right? Isn't that kind of like how we got? That's how we got today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That is.
Yep.
So thank you.
I was gonna say that's really good service, because it really has come around.
Right.
Yeah. He's been phenomenal.
Me too.
Yeah. Right. So we can do a bit of everything. But and if someone is really intent on, they have come to know us and love us through the service, and they would like to do the work with us, of course, we will bend over backwards to serve the customer. And if serving the customer, comes at the cost of a slightly less profitable job, that is absolutely okay with us. As long as the car gets taken care of properly, then we're happy as well. But we're willing to go to the ends of the earth. There's a lot of fantastic kits out there that bolt right on, and so it's that, tune it, and they go right along.
What's the so I actually didn't know this. I learned something on this for sure. What's the name of the American side, the domestic side of
our organization? Jim Taylor Automotive.
Jim Taylor. Okay, I just want to give that a plug because it's not on the thing. So make sure that everybody knows to go there. Are they putting like superchargers on Mustangs and stuff? It feels like it just feels like every single. Well, the reason I ask about performance is like here in Sarasota, I mean, Texas is known for all the fast cars. They got UGR, they got Dallas Performance. Everybody's over there, right? But like, it kind of feels like with Cletus and the car scene, if you don't have 1,000 wheel rolling around here nowadays, like, you're kind of slow, and the electric car game, those are all just generally efficient in every way possible. But the reason I was asking about performance is like, dang, like that's another really big market for you guys potentially, but that's a slippery slope.
Right.
And there's so many people that just want boosted Mustangs, twin turbo R8s, like GTRs. Huge fan, So that's why I thought I'd ask.
Yeah. We do a bit of performance up there. We see a lot of that's where we see a lot of classic American stuff. So right now we've got a 70 Camaro in the shop. We saw we had a C7 Corvette in that needed some AC work just yesterday and everything like that. So we see just the whole gamut of cars, just a wide variety. Have you guys made it out to BMP? Recently, like I know they had host FL2K, and recently they had the reunion. I guess they had enough, but like much to your point is there's been enough, kind of demand for more events like FL2K.
This is becoming like it's if this isn't going to be the Mecca in the next 5 years, I'd be surprised. So over in Texas, they've really cracked down on basically any and all racing that's not on a track. They have a new track now, which is really good, but it just seems like. I feel like the push is over here. There's a lot more content maybe not a lot more content, but there's just a lot of content being put out of Florida where there wasn't before. Like TRC's here, and they put out good stuff, but it's just really neat to see, I guess, this area in particular because of BMP, like really thriving and hopefully pushes and helps your guys' business too. I mean, there's just a lot of fast cars.
There's a lot of money here.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be fair. There's a lot of money in Sarasota.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's billionaires hiding out on these, barrier islands that people don't even realize are here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just the money is here to do those type of things and to service those people. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a Pagani somewhere in town.
Yeah, there is. What's her name? I forget.
I know who you're talking about.
Isn't she like the granddaughter of
but her worth starts with a B.
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like you have multi-million-dollar cars rolling around town. Like it's a thing.
It's
crazy. So you guys, are, our target demographic for these sorts of repairs. So for you guys, when you choose an auto repair shop, what are some things that are important to you guys?
Well, actually, after me attempting to just do any maintenance on my Audi when I had it, I have an X7 now, but I was like, from now on, I'm just going to, if I can't take it to the delership and it's not going to be warranted, I'm going to one of these people that says European. So I've been to, just by chance, I had been to Wren House before.
Yep.
But I guess now I'm headed towards you. But
I got a follow-up question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, what do you do this already, or is it in the future plans? Do you have like a reoccurring maintenance plan, like a car dealership would, to compete? Because I mean, like, you know this, and a lot of people that are in business know this and aren't necessarily with cars. A car wash. Why does a car wash make a lot of money? Thousands of people sign up for $30 a month or $10 a month, and they wash their car once a month, or they wash their car once every 6 months. Same thing with a gym membership. So that reoccurring income kind of thing, like that's how most millionaires become billionaires, right? I mean, like it's just that income that's coming in regardless of use.
Yeah, that's a good question. We recently started, from the customer's perspective. So we started selling 3 packs of oil changes, and which has been a wild success for us. From the customer's point of view, it allows them to bring down the cost of maintenance. We make it so that they don't expire, and you can use it on any car. So it really just makes all the sense in the world. The cost is really attractive. Whether you're, I'm sure you guys know as well, whether someone's got all the money in the world, everyone still wants to feel like they're getting a great deal.
Sure.
So if you can get into a highly specialized European auto repair shop for really a pretty reasonable price, it makes all the sense in the world for people to do that. From a business perspective, we can track data that's been, gathered independently from independent auto repair shops across the nation that tracks, the percentage of repeat customers from the first visit to the second visit, from the second visit to the third visit, and from the third visit to the fourth visit. And so it obviously depends on your quality of service and quality of product and everything like that. But first visit to second visit is obviously the lowest. You know, people are trying you out for the first time.
Right.
Maybe they're not wowed, but you know, it's anywhere between 25 and 60% if you're really good, right? And so 25 to 60%, around in that ballpark. Second to third visit goes up. Third to fourth visit is well above 85 to 90% of getting going from the third visit to the fourth visit.
Right.
By then, they know you, they trust you, they love you. So from a business perspective, we wanted to tap into that and see, okay, how can we get people to our shop?
Well, sure. If you sell them a 3-pack, like they're going to buy it and they're going to use it. So even if they're on their first visit and they buy it, they're like, well, I got to go back twice.
Yeah, because you pay up front for the oil changes, and then you come back. Your next 2 oil changes are free of charge.
And so you're giving them a discount for purchasing them all. So they're already happy about that. And now you got them kind of, well, of course you're going to come back.
Going to come back because you have 2 free oil changes, of course.
It's really good to
use them. So
subscription services are like, they run the world right now.
Yeah. Like, so there may be but much to your point, there may be some iteration in the future that kind of really taps into that, like even further.
I mean, most dealerships, when you go buy a Range Rover, let's say you're financing it, they're adding
prepaid
hundreds of dollars a month for that. And people are just like, all right, sign it up. I don't want to deal with this. Like, I just want to bring it in and you do your thing. Like, I don't care that every month I have to pay a couple $100s, even if they only bring it in once a year. So the dealership's getting thousands, and there's still like charges for a certain thing. So I mean, like it makes sense, like you said, do subscription service of some sort. I think in our range, that's appealing. You know what I mean, for our demographic, but also like modifications. So like if I did a modification in my car, like you did my supercharger, or you did turbos, like I'm probably going to bring it to you to service because I'm like, they did it.
Well, right, and that's where like the performance world, it's either going to go that way, or you're either the greatest shop in the world, or you guys are complete ripoffs, thieves, and I mean, you could go down. Not you guys. I just mean in general. Like, it is the most toxic industry when it comes to like feedback from customers, and that's got to be. I'd love to hear, like, if maybe I don't want to put you on the spot, but like not the person, but do you have like what's the biggest horror story, or maybe like the worst customer you've had that you've worked through? My ex-roommate worked at Ford, and he would just come home and just literally just take a shot as soon as he got home. He was a service advisor, and he's like, dude, I effing hate every person on this planet right now. Like, because people are so unrealistic. They'll be like, the tires say 60, they're going to make it 60,000. They'll show up at 58 and they'll be like, hey, you need new tires. They're like, you said it was going to be 60. And he's like, oh, you can go 2,000. Like, calm down. You know, like, people are so unhinged when it comes to like that service industry. You got a story?
So it is, word of mouth is, in Sarasota being, this kind of medium-sized town. Yeah, exactly. There's word of mouth spreads like wildfire.
Keyboard warriors, man. Oh.
Yeah, one of our old staff members, he used to say, he's like, if someone has a good experience with you, they'll tell 3 people. Someone has a bad experience with you, they'll tell 100 people. So so word spreads,
100%.
Especially.
Oh man, that's real estate.
Yeah, right.
That's anything that you can leave a review on.
Yes, exactly.
How many products do you not review that you're satisfied with?
Every single, actually.
But when you're dissatisfied, you're like, well, the place is going to burn down. Yeah, sorry about you.
Right, exactly. And then if you guys get a referral from somebody, and then on the positive end of things, I'm sure that when you guys get a really strong referral from somebody, they come in open arms, completely trusting, and they just, it's off to the races from there. Like that barrier of trust is.
That's our strongest pipeline. Exactly. I tell them all the time, like,
100%.
Word of mouth.
You have to keep calling the people you sold homes to. They've already gone through this process with you. They know what they're expecting. They're going to give you their friends.
It's the easiest, and it's also going to be the
easiest conversation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have a horror story?
So
like the worst, stand out. This was miserable.
Oh, I mean, we've had cars that are genuine biohazards to get into. You'd be shocked at the condition of cars and stuff. And we've been lucky not to have really, really physical encounters, but I do have one of kind of my members of a mastermind I used to be a part of.
Sure.
And we have this policy. We don't like giving prices out over the phone.
Right.
For a variety, that's a whole separate conversation. It leads to a really high level of customer dissatisfaction. This one customer, though, it was in a shop in New York, was screaming at this person. I think it was over a quote for some oil leak or something like that. Showed up to the shop, was like, I'm going to come over there and more expletives than would be correct to share on a public podcast.
Right.
But came to the shop, confronted the manager, nearly fist fought the person over not giving them a price. I mean, I've seen actually heard of in town here technicians showing up on a job day one, customers and technicians getting in fist fights in a parking lot. So there's
the industry itself, dude. It really is tough. Well, because it can be really expensive.
It is,
and like you said, you don't wake up in the morning expecting to have to put $5,000 into your car.
No,
like that's not the thing but you have to do it.
Yeah.
What do you do, right?
Yep. And I mean, in the real estate market, again, a service industry where, especially if you guys are acting on behalf of them, has anyone felt like either whether it's you guys or has someone had unrealistic expectations going into a deal?
Unrealistic expectations are like a daily thing.
Yeah, the only expectations we have are unrealistic.
That's right.
Right.
Well, it's just because
on both sides of the transaction. Sellers and buyers.
And that's actually why. Well, that's what our job is, to try to eliminate those as much as possible.
Management.
Expectation management, really.
Yep.
And it's like, so actually, I would say a car, depends. I've seen Vipers at trailer parks, but for the most part, your house and then your car in that order are the most expensive, valuable things you own.
Right.
So they're both really touchy subjects. Again, the more money you have, the less you care about it, which is weird. But down in that down in the normal range, things get really sketchy really fast.
Yep.
We've had. We've been asked to pay, the taxes on a transaction, the whole thing, because they didn't see it in the line item. And I'm like, well, you sent it.
Really?
It was sent. We reviewed it. And they're like, no, you're going to pay those. I'm like, that's.
Is there a minimum that you guys will touch in terms of like value of home or?
We sell lots. We'll sell a lot for a couple $1,000, $1,000 $1,000.
$1 million houses. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And by the way, not all of them are bad. I'm just saying, for the most part, it's just crazy to see how humans are, the interaction of it. But it's a lot of expectation management, and from both industries, that's for sure.
Yeah, word of mouth is such a powerful flow of leads, and
we actually have to talk ourselves into lower transactions sometimes because of the way we present ourselves and the volume that we do. I know that they have. I've had people say, "Hey, could you help me buy a $300,000 house?" Because they assume that we only sell $1 million homes,
right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's kind of like when you put European on the garage. They're like, "Well, I don't know if I can bring my car to you."
Right.
Actually, we're overqualified for your Chevy.
Right.
I promise.
Right. But you have to be like, no, wait a second. No. We'll gladly help you and use our experience to help you do that. Our bread and butter is really like 200 to 500,000.
Yep.
That's what's going to pay the bills. That $1 million plus stuff, it happens.
Yeah, but you don't.
But it's not like an everyday occurrence or even an every month occurrence. It's out there, but that percentage of people is just so small. Like you said, Ferrari owners, I mean, maybe downtown here, but you go drive 50 miles in either direction and you're not going to see a Ferrari.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I mean, you guys have a beautiful operation here, and your presentation online, beautiful. But I certainly get how people get that impression.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and imagine you walk into everything's downtown Sarasota. This is just really nice here.
Sure
it's just kind of how
this is how this has to look.
Actually, they'll kick you out if it looks worse.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, especially in this building.
Yeah. And so I saw online. I haven't been to your shop. I'm excited to come by there.
Absolutely.
How big is that? How many square foot is your garage, or is it all one?
So we've got 3 locations. Our store closest to downtown Sarasota here.
And that's just like it's off 12th, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yep. It's off 12th. I mean, I think it's less than a mile or so away from here, but very close. That store in total, we've got just about 10,000 square feet of workable shop space there, 13 bays, plus the alignment rack. At Jim Taylor, we're just shy. We're about 3,500 square feet. It's similar
Beautiful.
at our Clark location of Jesse's Garage as well. It's about 3,500 square feet. Awesome. And then lots to, enough to park all the cars that stay with us.
We just got to get you a storage unit up by my house.
That's right.
This seems right. Yeah,
That's right.
Everybody with the Ferraris and Lamborghinis, I know you don't want to drive them all the time. You park them with us.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, we certainly are looking forward to the to the day we purchase the real estate down at the Clark Road location. That'll be right on the corner of Clark and McIntosh. They're making McIntosh continuous there. And then there's such a great demographic down there, the Palma Ranch area. We're down McIntosh, so we're really
close to Siesta.
Exactly. It's the southern entrance to Siesta Key. We get so many customers from Siesta Key because they just turn on to Clark, and it's just straight shot.
Probably recently from their cars going underwater.
We've got it. You know what? That was another thing with the hurricanes and like the used car thing is just. We try and help out as many people as possible in a business sense, though. We did, after Dorian with the flooding rains, and then after Helene with a lot of the storm surges, we get a lot of cars that have, either drive through water and then hydrolock an engine, or have, electrical issues. But that was kind of another unintended, thing where we just try and help out as many people as we can.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
You never said, do you have anything fun or notable that you're driving right now?
Yeah, so the fun daily is a 2018 Porsche. It's a 911.
What one?
911. So it's a base Carrera APR tune, and then the two fun weekend cars are I've got about 1,000 wheel STI. And then
what year STI?
05.
Okay, perfect.
It's a Blaubai STI. So we'll have fun.
Huge fan. We should have started with this.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I was saying that's a whole different thing. I want an 07 Hawkeye.
Oh
in Aspen white in the worst way.
I've got a Hawkeye.
Or Alpine,
shell.
is it Alpine or Aspen? Alpine white.
Yeah,
either way. But the 07 Hawkeyes. But either way,
Love that, and then a
1,000 wheels. Jesus, that's tough to do in one of those.
Yeah. And you know what?
That ain't easy.
It's come a long way. It's been really reliable. And then a Lotus 7, like a Caterham style.
Okay.
So that one's my girlfriend and I. That's probably our favorite car to take out. It's got a bike engine, a sequential bike transmission in it. So,
they're really loud. For like a little car, they're very loud.
Yeah, it weighs 1,000 pounds and it's so much fun. So I know you have the C8 and you have a GTR.
Well, I had a C8. Right now I have a TRX, highly modified.
Yeah.
That's
what have you done to it?
Well, I didn't do anything personally, but SoFlo Customs built it for me. So it's one of their Warlord edition, Apocalypse Warlords. I don't know if you follow them across the state.
No.
So they built one for Shaq and Drake, and I think they built a desert one recently for another rapper.
There's a lot going on.
But I mean, it's got 40s on it, 22s, 875 horsepower. Yeah. It's got the Kevlar coating, bright green. Yeah.
Nice. That is awesome.
Yep.
So you should do sequential on the STI.
Yeah, that's the thing. So right now it's got straight cut gears, so it winds like crazy.
That's fun though too.
So it's hilarious to hear it roll through a parking lot.
I don't think I've met somebody with an STI down here that makes any power. So you're the first guy I've ever met.
For a ride in the GTR and the STI.
I would. Well, the STI is way more fun to ride in. Because you got to row the gear. I mean, you're rowing for. That's all you're doing. Actually, you're just shifting.
Yep.
Like I just floor it. Like I'm good. Yeah. Like
no, it's such fun. Those are such fun cars. But it's like we're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And it's Nick, the gentleman who helps us run the organization as well. Again, just like loves modifying cars, and ultimately at the end of the day, this is what we eat, sleep, and breathe. This is what I absolutely, obsess over day in and day out. And all we want to do is fix cars. So.
I mean, that's what you want in a business owner. I mean, like, for us, for real estate, like, it's a big part of our lives.
Mm-hmm. It's the only, you have to because the market changes so fast.
I was about to say,
you don't have a choice.
Like you guys have to keep eyes on,
everything.
anything that might pop up, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we're watching. We're watching. Like one day we're watching. Yeah, we're watching the bonds market.
We have to watch.
True.
We're watching the weather. We're watching the insurance.
Yeah.
Weather
in other areas.
Yeah, and it's not right. Yeah, and it sounds like that sounds like we're complaining, but like there's just
absolutely.
so much that goes into a real estate transaction.
Yeah.
Like
That affects it. Yeah, no, but you're right. Yeah, rates, and then through the hurricanes as well. I mean, you know, no insurance company wants to do business, it seems, in Florida anymore. But you know, has that affected, you know, I guess, how buyers approach transactions?
Sure, all of it. Everything that's happened in the last couple of years is affected. So right now, Florida has, I believe, the highest inventory count at over 200,000 since 2010.
Interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We make up like 30% of the inventory in the country.
You're talking about like houses on the market?
Currently.
Interesting.
Right now. True buyer's market in Florida.
Yeah.
Like right now, like if you're a buyer, like you have, like we just had this conversation last night through text message, you have all of the power as a buyer right now.
And that seems, if Florida has 30%, it seems local to Florida.
Yes. Well, because we were the most aggressive state when it came to the pandemic for people moving here.
Right.
So the price shift was 49%. And then when interest rates doubled, we went up another 40%. So it became 89% more expensive to buy here. Locals, what happens to them? Because everything else went up in the price of Florida. You know what I mean? People were buying cars like crazy. So prices of cars, because everything went up here. Locals are selling some of the RTO, return to work stuff. People are selling that bought here. You know, they bought last year, the year before, because they thought they were going to live here forever. They're taking losses. They just went under contract. The guy's going to lose $30,000 on a $300,000 house. He bought it last year.
Yeah. And then on top of that, there's people that are closer to the coast. They literally either got dropped by their insurance, or they can't, or they want to buy the coast and they can't because they can't get insured. So you can't rent, you can't lend.
Right.
Right.
Yep,
so now you have to be a cash buyer for that. So now the property just sits, and there's your inventory spike. Right.
Yep.
So it's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that is.
It's a wild time.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we're living it, but really fun. I mean, we still enjoy, because there's always, no matter what, there's circumstantial moves and stuff. So we're still busy. And
or our favorite thing to say is transactions are going to happen daily with or without us.
Yeah.
So it might as well be with us.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And so how do you guys manage, you know, I feel like it's the same whether you're, you know, buying a house or investing, you know, it's like there's no, you know, that adage, you know, you can't time in the market beats timing the market. You know, it's like, how do you manage those expectations from, you know, is this a good time to buy, bad time to buy, or really is it just a matter of, you know, do it when it's right for your life?
Right. If you can afford to buy, it's always a good time to buy.
Yeah.
Because we look at real estate in giant pictures, not in like, what is it going to do next year when you look at an investment?
Sure.
All investments should probably be looked at that way.
Yep.
Like
absolutely.
when you buy something in a stock market, you should close that account and look at it in 10 years and see what happens. So same thing with real estate. If you take any 20-year period in Florida real estate, it goes up between 100 and 300%.
Editor, insert graph. There's a very Googleable graph for this, but there's no slide where you cover 10 years where you lost.
You can even throw the crash.
It's never happened.
You can throw the 08 crash in there,
in the middle,
and it's still like 150% up.
Yep.
So I mean, like there is no right now. What's happening? Okay, it's happening. Yeah. But if you have the courage and you have the means to buy right now, and you keep it like your kids or your retirement, you're set. As long as it can rent produce and pay the mortgage. It doesn't even, most people don't realize. So I've met a couple of accountants, 7-figure accountants from other states that buy properties. And when I first got into real estate, it seemed like a weird thing to me, but they'd be like, yeah, well, I just need the rents to cover the mortgage that I'm going to take out. This is my 15th place that I'm doing this with. And I'm like, he's like, but in 20 years it'll be paid off because the rents will just cover the mortgage. I'll stay there when it's not rented. And I'll come to Florida, like the guys from New York. Yeah, and he's like, in 20 years, I can either sell all of them for $30 million, or I'll have all of them free and clear and all these rents that I collect for retirement. And I'm like, so you don't make any money on them right now? He's like, no. I was like,
just parking money.
Yeah, right. Parking money, you get the appreciation, you get the, you know, all the, obviously the real estate.
His only investment is 20%.
Right.
Yeah. So let's say he's buying $1 million places. He put $200,000 down. Yeah. In 20 years, if it doesn't appreciate at all, He has $1 million that he probably paid $200,000 for and sat and waited because they paid the taxes, the insurance, and the mortgage on that property. Most people don't think like that. Right. And it's not going to just stay for $1 million in 20 years. It's going to be $2 million.
Exactly.
So he paid $200,000 for $2 million.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is like for the non-investor folks and people that are just like, so should I buy? Should I stay renting? I think one of the things that I always try to say is if you're going to be in the house for as long as you can stay in the house for 5-10 years, 10 years it's statistically guaranteed. I mean, I don't want to use the word guarantee, but like it's looking real good. But as long as you're not going to sell it in 6 months or 2 years, you're fine. Like, don't worry about these market dips. This is just how it works. I mean,
it's got to meet your needs.
Yeah, just get into the house. As long as lending is, because of the inventory and because of the market, lenders have come up with some really creative solutions. We're seeing a lot of 2-1 buy down programs. There's just a lot of different programs that get people into houses for a lot less money down because
seller credits.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and this 80, because everybody's like, well, it's $80,000 for my down payment. Well, it doesn't have to be. Like there's ways around this.
Right.
So do you guys see is a large portion of your deals through some sort of more niche lending product, or are most of them conventional loans?
Well, our bread and butter loans are usually FHA.
Yeah.
Sure.
The 300 to 500, it's usually FHA, VA, somewhere in there. Maybe a small, 5% or less conventional kind of loan.
Yeah, you can get conventional for really cheap.
Yeah, well, you can do 5% down. You can do 3% or first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of those. In the higher ones, you start seeing the creative loans on self-employed.
Yep.
Sure. Yes.
So you got to do bank statement loans and things like that. And then investors, obviously very creative loans. I would say primary residence, it's more conventional, typical. It's when somebody's buying a second property or they're buying an investment property that you see those things.
Yeah. And then, they require, typically investment does require more down, right? Like that's just how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know that we've explained this yet, but a lot of people watch HGTV. You watch HGTV?
Seen it before.
What's your favorite show on HGTV about flipping? You got Tarek and Christina. You got the couple from Hawaii. You got a few of them.
Sure.
They all have the same principle, and a lot of people don't realize this. They don't actually use their own money. So when they do their breakdown, their carrying cost, that's a loan. It's a hard money loan. So I've done hard money loans, and it's for people that are going to rehab. Sometimes people, they just can't qualify. Yep. It's a loan you're only supposed to have for like 6 months.
Yep.
Because you're going to pay them a lot of money. It's usually a lawyer or somebody like that that's originated the loan. I think actually Reed's starting to do those a little bit.
He sure is. Yeah.
But they all do that, and that's how they preserve their profit and everything. Is they get these things done fast. So hard money loans are one of the most unique things because you don't really qualify. You have cash and collateral. Here's a loan. Here's your money.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
If you don't deliver on your 6-month or 10-month note, we'll also take your house.
Yeah. Way less
and your collateral.
Way less paperwork. A little bit more risk.
Yep.
But you have it.
Right.
And it's a little...
they just... So that's why lawyers usually do it. They just put a lien on your stuff.
Exactly right.
And it's done.
Yep.
Fully collateralized.
Yep.
Yeah. Very interesting.
I forgot. Darn it. I had something I was going to say, and then I just... Frick.
Yeah.
Well...
So you got anything else for us?
Oh, man, no. I just, it is really interesting to kind of draw the parallels between, the real estate side of things, the luxury car market, and even also from like a business perspective. It's like there's so many similarities in even closing for, businesses and real estate. And, they've each kind of got their own unique, set of rules about them. Obviously, there's, the set of tax advantages around, around real estate, and then there's valuation multipliers around businesses. But building empires in both sectors is, I think there's a lot of parallels between the two markets. But no, it's fascinating. We
definitely have to plan some sort of event, like crossover event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome to host like a, because right now, like the Cars and Coffee, is once a month.
Maybe more intimate.
Yeah, like we should do
more.
I would love to host. I used to have a website called Wisconsin Street and Track where that's what we did, but it was every week. But I'd love to host an event and have you guys out, or have you guys be a part of it.
Or the problem is
use
their parking lot.
Well, I was just saying that's actually most of the problem is we get kicked out of every parking lot.
There you go.
And then we
got the space,
and we got Mustangs killing crowds. Like so, it's tough because
it's got to. They're uninvited.
See, it's not how it works, Joe. That's half the crowd. But then you
gotta put an age limit on the Mustang driver.
There we go. Yeah, can I see your ID? Well, I'll bounce. You bounce. You're bigger than I am. Yeah, but
that's right. I think we share probably a lot of clientele.
Right.
I think there's a lot 100%. Of crossover as well between those, the target demographics.
Right.
So something great for the community as well.
Yeah, we'll have to work that out.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it would be a good collab.
Well, are you want to wrap up?
Yeah.
Well, just make sure. I just want to say we're going to make sure we put their website and their link to their business, both of them. It's two totally different ones, right? Two different websites.
Yes, it's jessesgarage.com.
Yep.
And then
to both.
Jim Taylor
Links below.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. It was great having you today, Luke, and Christian, as always. This is the second one we've done together now.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. All right. Well, remember, like, comment, subscribe, and share. This is another edition of the Millslagle Group podcast. Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys so much.